Have you ever experienced any discrimination from security officials or any other authority as a result of you wearing your turban?
Yeah.
And what was that experience like?
So this happens in different aspects. In the US, it happens for different reasons. In Kenya, it happens for different reasons. In the US, they have not a clue what an Akorino is. I'm just lumped into everyone Arab, Sikh, all put into one thing. I get a lot of random checks. In fact, I remember one time at an airport in my hometown, coming into the airport, and the first line of entry, the guy pulls me over to the side and says, excuse me, sir, they're very kind at least, excuse me, sir, you've been selected for a random check. I'm like, okay, at that particular stage, I'm believing it's completely random. And so he swabs my hands, checks everything, checks for residue, and he says, okay, you're good to go. I go to the next line. The other guy has not a clue what the other guy did. In fact, they didn't see each other. This is in the security line now, where you put your bags on the stuff. And even before I put my bags on the stuff, the gentleman comes up and says, "Sir, you have been selected for a random bag check." I'm like, okay, it's a lot of randomness happening today, but yeah, by all means, go ahead. Right? Searches my bag, top down. I put me back on the little line that carries the bags onto the machine that actually checks them. They're checked. I go through the metal detector. I get a full pat down, and then I'm just about to walk away, and the guy says, "Oh, excuse me, sir, you've been selected for another random check." Right, and then I look at him and I say, those of us familiar with the law of large numbers know that this is no longer random, right? Now it's a pattern, right? He, of course, had not a clue what I said, and I was like, you know what, just go ahead and do your search. I would say in the US, a typical airport, it happens for me 7 out of 10 times. I get a random check, but I become used to it. So there's this balance and intricacies that you play in choosing the battles, right? So if someone wants me to pat down my turban so he can take a look at it, or take off my turban so he can take a look at it, I'm like, yeah, sure, by all means, go ahead and do that. It's a lot less of a hurdle for me to argue back and forth with him about it. Sometimes I'll stand ground if I find it to be completely discriminatory, and then I may say something about it. And that's the thing, is that what I tell people is that confidence goes a long way, right? And if you clearly have nothing to hide, I know there is nothing in my bag, and this random is no longer random anymore. Then the other part is in Kenya. That happens more frequently than I would care to admit, but I think as individuals and as Kenyans, we have a long way to go when it comes to how we view our fellow Kenyans. We put people in certain boxes, right? So that's a watchman, and I put him here, or that's my maid and I put him there, or that's an Akorino and I put him there, or that's Mwediawanyama and I put him there, right? And I can't think outside of those particular boxes, and it's retrogressive and it's backward, and as a country we need to do better. And for me, I don't take any offense to it personally, otherwise I would go along being offended every single day. I've decided to just change one life prospectively as I come across them, and increasingly so. I would say that Kenya is becoming better in that. But for me, it starts at the airport. Sometimes I remember last time I was here for work. I was going into a meeting, and the driver happened to be, of course, he was Kenyan. The car we had rented. So I was the only Kenyan in the group, so we were exchanging numbers so that I could give him a call, because you know how Nairobi traffic is. So I was going to give him a call about 5-10 minutes before the traffic and before the meeting ends, and then he was going to come pick us up. And so we were walking in to one of the government buildings, and I'm about maybe 20 or so paces behind my colleagues, and of course they pass the metal detectors all beeping, but no questions asked. And then I'm on my phone saving the number, and I'm about to just walk in, and the soldier puts his arm in front of me, physically stops me, actually caught me off guard, and he says, "Where Mokorino nendo wapi?" Right? And I stop, and my colleagues see the commotion, and he's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Oh, casually just tell him I'm just telling him I'm with you, there's a mistake, and he goes, oh, kona wale, oh, pole sana. He gives me a salute and then lets me go through. Same building, and walk in to the reception, and you're going through this whole lineup and everything, and then eventually convince the lady that I'm with the team that went in. We go in. We've arrived a little bit earlier, early for the meeting. It's a typical hot day, so I took off my jacket and I put it on the chair, and I had my laptop on the other side of the table, and Kenyan hospitality, there's a kahawa and Milo and coffee on the side, so I go to make myself a cup, and I'm making myself a cup, and I have just finished stirring, and I'm about to put the spoon down, and the people we are meeting from Kenya government walk in, and they pass me, and the first guy walks in, and he has a seat, and he says, "Atamin tengeneze chai." So I ask him what type of tea he wants, and he tells me it's the same one I've made. So I give him mine, and I go back to make mine, and I'm making my cup, and the other guy says, "Nami nataka Milo na shikari vijiko mbili." So I make him a cup, right? And I give it to him, and then I'm now looking to see whether there's anybody else who wants a cup of tea, right? And then it's silent. The meeting hasn't begun because we're waiting for everyone to sit down. So I take my cup and I walk across the table to the other side, pull up the chair, and I put my cup down and I sit down, and they see that I'm a member of the team, and their faces just like fall to the ground, and they're looking, no eye contact. And my team member was waiting on me to begin the meeting, and I said, oh, so we're here at Treasury, da 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 da, and we're leaving, and then the gentleman says, I'm so sorry, I misunderstood who you are, but we should make sure that they send more people like us. I'm like, don't worry, I know specifically what you meant. You thought that, I am just, if I rise up to anything, it's like I'll be the guy making tea. It's fine, but just so you know, right, there are a lot more that people have, and people have variety of different stories, and we should not just stereotype and judge someone simply because they have a turban, or simply because I see the guy is a watchman or whatever, right? Whether or not they have accomplishments is different. As human beings in general, we should treat them as human beings.